Hey, welcome everyone. Hey, I am beyond, I'm actually honored and welcome to have our newest sponsor for the other side of Academy, for the other side of addiction, excuse me, Emergo Academy. This isn't just another program, it's life-changing approach built around one simple truth. Recovery is a brain thing. Now, I've personally taken the training, and with what Dave and Susan Kenny, they have literally transformed my life and the way I understand my life, my past, and most of all, my healing. If you're not looking to become a crisis and a certified recovery coach, the brain first approach will shift how you see addiction, your behavior, and even your everyday choices. Because the truth is, most of us aren't trying to be destructive. We're trying to find relief from trauma and from pain. And that pain rewires the brain. Emergo untangles those patterns and resets the system so you can live free. I highly recommend you guys checking out emergoacademy.com. Reach out to Dave and Susan because, guys, they have changed my life and I know that they will definitely change yours. So remember, it is a brain first approach. And I'd like to welcome our guest today, Shaun Johnson. Shaun, thank you so much for being here with me. Greatly appreciate it. And we're going to be talking about Activate Your Life. Now, I just want to give my friend Rachel a shout out, because she invited me to this event. That's where Shaun and I met.
Mhm.
And I said before when we talked, I says, man, I mean, just within a short period of time, I just felt like we've been friends for a long period of time. And I love connecting with people like that because that tells me that the energy is aligned. And I love being around people that have high energy, a great way of looking at life. And, we shared a little bit about what was going on with one another, or what our lives was like. But man, when I read your bio, I was like, holy cow, my gosh, this woman has been through so much. And I get really upset sometimes when I read bios like yours, and it's not that I'm upset with you. I'm upset because how other individuals can treat other people.
Mhm.
And I was just telling a lady friend of mine not too long ago, I said, what really sucks is us good guys, we get the shaft because these
Mhm.
bad guys come in and they treat these women so bad
Mhm.
and they protect themselves so much, which I understand. But then when the nice guy comes, they're so afraid of going, okay, is this the same, right? They're being really nice. Why are they being really nice? There's a reason why they're being really nice. It's not because of me, right? It's because of something else. And then we get pushed away. But, with everything that you have gone through, I really tip my hat off to you, Shaun,
Mhm.
for stepping up to the plate and really and activating your life. So why don't you share with our listeners a little bit about your background and we'll just go from there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, and you'll see me off to the side. I take notes because I want to remember certain nuggets. So,
Okay. I
but
do the same, so I've got mine as well.
yes, yes. Yeah. So about me, I'm an Arizona native. I have traveled a ton, and just Arizona happens to be my home. I can definitely see myself living somewhere at some point, but right now, it's been home and is home, and I just love it. But I love the heat and all that. So anyway, born and raised here. I've never married or had kids, so we'll dive into that story as well. And I've always wanted it, and I will have it. But I have a beautiful family. My parents are still married. You got to meet my dad
Yes.
when we first met. Lovely human, and I feel like I won the lottery with my parents and my family. I've got a big family, four siblings. So grew up with three brothers and a sister, and I was always the tomboy and wanted to do all the things that the boys did, and them playing sports and in the dirt was way more fascinating to me than playing dolls and stuff. Although I did play dolls and I did have Barbies and all that, I had the feminine side in me, but I loved fighting. I loved all the boy sports. So grew up as a sports child, and then yeah, and then just growing up in life to here. So to kind of explain like how I kind of came to be. I mean, that's always such a complex question. The shortest way, and then we can dive in, and I've got like different notes, so we'll feed off each other. But
Okay.
I So growing up, again, I had a beautiful childhood, but no one comes out of childhood unscathed. There's always something. And there would definitely like the short end, I had an adult, a friend's father who was a pedophile and was grooming me as a child. And I didn't understand it as a kid. I just knew I felt weird around him. And I would try every which way to like leave their house because I couldn't leave their house. He'd somehow find a way to meet me at the front door before I left. And he'd rub my chest and I'd have to kiss his cheek. And all weird things, and then one attempt where he tried to watch me undress and locked himself in the room with me. And then I just fought back and I said, no, 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 and hid on the other side. And thankfully he left. And I didn't tell anybody until way later. And I've learned why on that. That's a thread of not feeling like I could say it or that it mattered. And again, I know my family they would have wanted to know and they would have, so it's something, there's things that have happened that where I didn't feel like it mattered, and it felt like things were always kind of shoved under the rug and stuff. And so just interesting how as a kid you make associations and then that forms you into adulthood,
Yeah.
and now resolving those and now, okay, I have a voice and I'm going to say it, this is not getting shoved under the rug. And everybody has their traumas or their things that they go through. And so that was one a big uncovering even recently. I mean, I'm 41, almost 42, and it's still a journey. There's still the growth and there's still revisiting different things from different moments in my life. Um, so yeah, and then growing up, I had a lot of instances where different boys from school, other neighbors, I had adult attempts to try to hurt me as a kid. And I remember my mom like, fight back, fight back. It's better to fight there than have them take you, And I had a moment where I was walking home from school and this guy, he was in a white truck and he drove up next to me and he asked some sort of street name. And I'm like, I don't know what the street name is. And I just kept walking. And then he yells something. He's frustrated, but I don't know what he said. And then he drives off. And I'm like, that was weird. I wonder what he said. So I just keep walking. And I'm in seventh grade. So I'm what, 14?
Mm.
Um, so I'm walking down the street and then he comes back around again next to me. And then he yells, do you have any hair on your vagina? And it's like, excuse me, and I just kept walking. Well, shortly after, there was another vehicle that comes up and a gentleman that looked like could be one of my parents' friends. I've never seen him before. And he's like, are you okay? Did he say anything to hurt you? Did he uh, unsettle you? Do you need a ride home? All that stuff. And I was just like, no, no, no. And I just kept walking. And in my head, there was like, wait a second, like, did he see what happened? I mean, I was kind of piecing it together, but also like, nope. But I just kept walking. And then eventually he took off. Well, turns out that was a whole scheme that they were doing to capture young girls. And then because it was about maybe a week later that was on the news. My mom's like, Shaun, 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 come look. Is this the guy? Is this the guy? And I looked, I'm like, yep. Because the guy in the truck, he didn't look like somebody that my parents would know, but
Yeah.
um, in the truck, his voice was very distinct. And so when they did a little interview on the news, it was like, yep, that's him. So, so just for, awareness or whatever. But anyway, and then, growing up, I ended up in, now in relationships and, um, I've had all kinds of relationships. So, the goal has always been I want to be married and have kids. If you had bet me $1 million that I would be 41, not married or had kids, I would have taken that bet and I would now be out $1 million because it is funny how life happens or or doesn't happen. So, and I'm very grateful and I'm very proud of who I am and my journey. And I think, God's timing, like I'm very, very strong. If I tried to be a mother probably back then, I mean, everything works out as it's supposed to. So but ended up in not so great relationships. I had healthy ones, but I had not so great. And Started off, I had one in high school that he was not kind at all, and um, there was, yeah, wasn't kind. I think the first narcissist, and I was smart enough to leave early enough in it to not get fully wrapped up in it. But it's interesting, like since we went to school together, and I always felt like I have to be friends with exes to make everybody okay. But really it's like, wait, I'm not okay. But
Yeah.
I didn't know how to stand up for myself and go, wait, no, I don't get to have you in my life. I don't get to people please you right now. Again, this is a lesson that I've only learned in the last recent years in my life too. People pleasing has been a big theme also throughout. And so then, flash forward, I go through college, had a great college, but I ended up meeting in my later years, who I will call Crazy Ex. He's so, I mean, probably everyone had their stroke of crazy, but he was a very extreme one, the extremist, where very verbally abusive, mentally abusive, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, sexually, financially, all of it. Everything you can think of happened. And the short of it is, it's the mental abuse that does the worst. Because by the time you're broken down little by little by little by little, and for me, he proposed early on. And so it was like, I have to fight for this.
Yeah.
And that's also a part of the programming. Now, I'm going to caveat that this is another piece is you can also there's healthy relationships that exist. I've got an aunt and uncle, I've got actually a few of them that met early on, got married early, and they're super happy and it's healthy. So it doesn't mean that it's an absolute that no, they're bad people, because that's not. But there's a reason, there's a method and behind their madness, to how they operate, because it works really well, and it is for healthy containers. And so they see that and they want to program and pull you in. Anyway, so with Crazy X, so the verbal abuse over time, and then by the time they hit you, you've already been hit emotionally over and over again. And by that point, it was 2.5 years in our relationship, and we were living together. And I vividly remember it was we were watching football. I think it was in December of that year, December of 2006, I think. And we I don't remember what, we were kind of arguing with something. I was just like, I'm over this. He always just wanted to pick fights with me all the time, and I don't like fighting. I'm not, I'm not a fighter. I've learned now that I will have my boundaries and I will be firm and I will walk away. um, and I will fight for the right things, but overall, like, I don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
So I've just learned how to have it in a way that honors me. But at the time I hadn't. So I was like, I can't deal with this. So I get up and I walk around the couch, because that's where the hallway is to go back into the back bedrooms. And he gets up and meets me at the back of the couch. And then something happened. He shoved me. This is the first shove, first ever physical hit. And I lost my balance and I fell back on my back on the tile. And then it was like I recovered. I'm like, oh hell no, this is not going to happen. So i I get up, I'm like, I'm out of here. And so I storm back into the room. I mean, it was something out of a movie. Very cartoonish. I get the suitcase out and put it on the bed, and I start throwing things in it, trying to look, and he's pulling them back out. And he's like, what, now you're a battered woman, now you're this. I'm like, you hit me, I'm not doing this, this is not. And it was, it's amazing how emotionally, because those are like weaved in, you just don't know that those are happening. But as soon as we can comprehend a hit, and so so that's when, anyway, fighting back. And in that process, I'm just there's no turn me. There was no turning back. But also part of that, he had learned, he starts to escalate. So then he starts smashing things. He broke the hamper. He starts breaking the ottoman. He starts losing. He's like, I can't lose you. I can't lose you. Blah blah blah. And then he gets in the hallway and starts punching the wall, like putting holes in it. And he breaks his hands, and then he kicks the wall behind him. So now there's just drywall everything exposed, he hits a beam, and that's what broke. Actually, it was one hand broke, not both. Um, but he broke skin on both hands. Um, and then through his foot. And then it's now I'm like trying to calm him down. The dogs are freaking out. And I'm like, what? Calm down, calm down, calm down. So he learned he can elevate. And
Yeah.
then I'm trying to calm down. Yes.
Mhm.
So manipulate me into like, okay. And so he just starts crying. And then he goes back to that little boy that, he's traumas, right? Like those who are hurt others.
Yeah.
And so he goes back to that place. And then it was just, I'm exhausted now because I had been crying, leading all up into this moment. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I do this. You make me crazy, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but I love you. And, we're going to make it through this and blah, 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 all the things. And
I like, if I can interrupt you for a second, I like how you said he goes, you make me crazy, right? He's not taking accountability for his own actions. He's
right,
putting you as that person that's causing that.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So then it was, so from there it was like, okay. And the next morning it was like, all right, and then the highs are so high and the lows are so low, which those had already been starting to program and get out of whack leading into this moment. And they've done brain scans and they've seen the brain scans of a heroin addict and the brain scans of a domestic violence victim are the same. And it
Wow.
all screws with your dopamine and serotonin. Yes, you become an addict. So very fitting for the show.
Yes.
Is you and in my mind, I'm like, no, I am not addicted to this. Like how could that even be possible? And but now, in all understanding, the times that are so good, they're so good. There. I mean, I had a lot of great times with them, but then the times that aren't so good, the highs are so high. It's just like, or the lows, I guess, however you do it, right? Like
Yeah.
to me, I think of high because it's, I guess, feeling good, but then the also high is it's very extreme and intense and everything is escalated. So I guess I don't know what one is what, but um, but either way, we're all screwed up, and that produces dopamine and serotonin. I mean that's in your endorphins because you're in survive mode when in those moments when they get so extreme. And anyway, so now flash forward over the next 6 months, got kicked with steel-toed boots. I had a dinner plate sized bruise on my hip. And then I was limping, and then he's like, "Oh, are you a battered woman now? You better not limp. People better not know that what is going on." And he started spitting on me out of anger almost every day. He, oh gosh, controlled when I wore makeup, when I didn't, how I dressed. And there was that slow isolation and lots of moments of where, I mean, I was even in a dead sleep and I wake up to him pulling my hair to wake me up because he had to tell me something. Like it wasn't a nice, like, hey, I got to tell you something, like literally yanking at a ponytail and yanked it out of sleep. Oh my gosh. And then where it really started to escalate, it was obviously those are all escalations. But
Yeah.
at the end, just to paint the picture of when I was like, I'm in trouble. There was one day he threatened. I don't remember what it was. If I didn't do something, then he was going to break the kitchen table. And the kitchen table was the table I grew up with and that my mom ended up giving to me. And I had a fond memory. We had painted squares on the top. And I wanted to keep it because it was like my mom and I, we painted the squares on it. And he threatened to break it if I didn't do something. And um, and then the day following that, he'd gone out. So that night he'd go out all the time and he'd go to strip clubs all the time. And I learned, he was cheating on me, all that. And I started to get to where I'm like, he's just out of the house. I get solitude. So um, he so he went out one night. I go to bed. Well, I wake up in the morning. He's next to me, sound asleep. So I go in and I do eggs and bacon and toast. And once it's ready, I go in and I go wake him up. I'm like, hey, I've got breakfast for you. And it was a very loving exchange, And he's like, okay, thanks, babe, whatever. I go back in the kitchen and I start just cleaning up. But I always felt the energy. And I could hear him coming down the hall and it was just bracing for impact, like, oh. And then he comes down the hallway and he comes and he ends up grabbing me, and he's like, I wanted, what did he say? I think it was French toast. I wanted French toast instead of this, like, and just out of nowhere, like, what? So, and I'll explain the aha moment. So that was just, you just didn't know. It was like he wanted to fight, he was going to fight. And this time it was because I didn't make French toast. And so he comes around the counter, he grabs me and throws me down on the ground and starts slamming my shoulders and my head into the tile. And a couple days after that, I was watching Oprah. Oprah gave me words when I started watching Oprah. I had no idea what I was in. I thought I was alone. I thought no one was going through what I was going through. And Oprah, she saved me. She's my girl. Like, and she gave me words. And so with her, she started talking about obviously abuse and domestic violence and all that. And she she had a woman on her show. There was one time uh, where as soon as I turned the channel to her, she said, let's take a look at this clip. I had no previous, I didn't see any of that. She goes, let's take a look at this clip. And this is when live television. So you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't, you didn't, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so we go to the clip, and it's this woman standing in the middle of the room, shaking and crying, and she's just standing there like, I follow you to T, I follow you to T, I follow you to T. She's shaking, and then the POV is from a lower, like, couch view. And he's like, tell me you follow me to a T. She's like, I follow you to T, I follow you to T. Well, then the camera goes to a lower POV, and you hear this, this man's voice go, don't you see how pathetic she is? And you hear their 8-year-old son say, yes, I do. And he hands the camera to the son to record. And then he gets up and the whole thing is recorded. Oh, I don't even know them. And
Jeez.
he proceeds to beat the crap out of her. And that video is what got him 15 years in prison. And um, he could, oh, sometimes I can tell a story.
That's okay. No.
And then he comes back, and she asked her, so what led to this? And she goes, I asked him if he wanted a sandwich. And that was when I went, oh, I'm in trouble. I am in trouble. That was where I got and understood, like, this is where information is key. This is where I do podcasts like this, because women who may not understand what they're in, or may think that they're alone, they're not alone. It is textbook. And there's a book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. Get it on Audible, read it, and it's page 181, called Intimate Enemies. And there are 30 questions, or 32 or some questions that you need to ask yourself, and read that entire chapter. Every woman needs to read, because you will be like, holy crap. And all those questions are basically like, if you answer yes to any of these, or even a handful, then you're in big trouble. And I answered yes to every single one of them. And Gavin DeBecker, he is, I need to be a spokesperson. I need to find that man, because I think his book's running out of print. Like, it needs to be printed. It is a lifesaver, game changer. It really showed me what, again, at that another level of understanding what I was going through. And he highlights the O.J. Simpson case, the Scott Peterson case. I think Scott Peterson, that's his name, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, or Peter. Yeah, I think it was Peterson. But so Gavin DeBecker he worked with LAPD for, now it's probably over 50 years. I don't know if he's still working for him or not, but at the time it was like over 30 years with LAPD, and he worked head of security for Oprah and many others. And it's a book of all true stories to paint the picture of trusting our instinct. The gift of fear, trusting our instincts. Our instincts are right, and we have to pay attention to them. And so, anyway, that book is huge. But yeah, so then flash forward after, kind of skipping a lot of details, but basically, family had an intervention with me. And I came home one day. We had to kick him out of the house. My parents, because long story, my parents bought a house that we could move back into back into town and be closer. And it was a way to help, because they were sensing, we see that there's something wrong. Like, our daughter, my mom would go, you look like a school marm. You're not, what is this? Like, you're not wearing makeup. You don't look like yourself. Like, I feel like, and I remember my sister, she's like, he's killing you. He's killing you. I don't know who you are, and Um, so he got kicked out of the house, and I come home one day, and I was met with my dad had we had a family friend who worked for Phoenix PD. He was on the phone. My dad had a gun on his hip. He had just got his concealed and carry license for this reason. And my sister's crying. My older brother, he grabs my keys and my phone, and they're like, "This ends today. We've already called your work that we don't know when you're going to go back. You need to focus on you. We're getting you help, and then let's sit down. Like your friends mentioned XYZ." And um, so, uh, then my best friend showed up and we drove down to the courthouse and to get a restraining order. And I remember I was so scared because I didn't tell many people many things. But leading into this, my best friend would meet me after work to and he knew the timing of when I would get off work. So she met me like 5 minutes before. So we had a quick like 5 minutes before I got back, and I would show her the bruises, and I started taking pictures of things because he'd like, he one day be like, "Oh, I left you a note in the bathroom. I love you. I hope you have a great day." Like it seemed very loving. And I get home and I was the C word, the B word,
Jeez, freaking
all of
mighty.
it written all over in lipstick on the mirror. Huh?
I just said, geez almighty. I'm
Oh,
just,
yeah. Oh, it was
yeah.
absolutely insane. So he'd do that, and then even when my parents were like, "You have 30 days to get out," he left that overnight, and so that next morning we got calls from the neighbors like, "There's weird people. The garage door's open. What's going on?" We go over there, and he completely demolished the house. He turned the heat on up to 100. He dumped the charcoal grill out onto the ground. Cards we gave each other that like played music. He taped them so every cabinet you open would play all these cards that we got each other. He put my toothbrush in the toilet. Again, more lipstick on the mirror. Um, he cut up my swimsuits, pictures of me and him. He broke the frame over my face. Um, he, oh gosh, he stole like half my underwear drawer. He took jewelry. He took shoe, like, because it was all things that he didn't want me to ever wear for somebody else. Um, he, Oh, it was insanity. Anyway, so we left the house in shambles, broke the key off in the door handle, like weird stuff. And then it was like a year and a half later, I'm now in a new relationship and I bring these board games with me to a trip. And then people open the box and it's again, the outside of the box was fine. The inside was written on all the cards, like grotesque, awful things. Um, so I was like, "Oh God." So I immediately grab all the board games and I race out to the trash and just bawled by the trash, and my friends, they knew what I had been through. Oh, so he just did insane stuff. So yeah, so then I got that restraining order, and that was Cinco de Mayo 2008. So then I got the restraining order, and then I come back, and it's my family all making carne asada tacos, and um, and just having this whole world of like, what planet am I on to end up there? And that was the start. And then my parents, I lived in their house. I mean, part of, my aunt was a therapist and she walked them through, like, they took literally unplugged. This is when phones were plugged in the wall, to unplugged all of them and put them in a safe, all the car keys in a safe, computers in a safe, and a passcode that I couldn't get. I literally had no access to the outside world, and it only lasted about 4 days because then I started getting angry, and then I finally felt safe to release. And I remember even trying to tell my mom, ah, trying to tell my mom what different memories and things that were coming up, and she's trying to keep a poker face, and I think my aunt is telling them how to handle me and how to work through. And I just remember she's just sitting there like trying to, I think, hold it together, like, "Holy crap, this happened to my daughter." And but both my parents were struggling. So anyway, yeah, and it was about 5 days later I was able to go to work, and the where I worked was my friends that I grew up with. Their dad owned the business, so I was working with my friends, and so he was like, "All right, we're going to change the policy. You go in through the back." And Crazy X would show up, and my boss would come over to me, and he's like, "He's here. So he'd literally lock and key me into his office. They'd call the cops and wait. So they were protecting me. Everybody was protecting me. Um, and then, yeah, and then then that's when the work began.
Yeah.
A lot of work began to really, really dive in and uncover not only how did I end up in it, but what did I allow and why? And what was that all about? And that's, there's still a journey. I mean, overall, I think I've worked on all that, but it's amazing how in life too, there's always still stuff that's going to come up or in various layers to
Yeah.
think. Um,
Those triggers are always gonna, I
yeah.
don't know, something's always gonna pull the trigger, I guess, right? Because that's just how our subconscious brain works. There's always this little teeny thing that will bring it up so quickly when we thought we've had it buried so deep.
Right. Right. And now it's going okay. That's I love it. So my boyfriend, he's very good at going, he struggles with the word trigger and he's like, it's a mirror. Like this is
Yeah.
where it's a mirror. And let's look at the mirror. What is it showing you? Where it's the gift, right? Where it's what is this showing you? Why is this coming up? What is this, is this protecting you? Is this something that you need to work through? Is it time to heal it? Like what is it?
Well, and I love how your boyfriend looks at it with the word mirror.
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you know Caitlin, Rachel's partner?
Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
do you know her brother Cap?
I don't know her brother, but I've heard about him.
Well,
Mhm.
Cap and I are pretty good friends. We used to work together, and there was times we're working on a house, and we would get into some pretty serious conversations.
Yeah.
And there was a mirror in this house that we're working on, and the family wanted to keep this mirror.
Mhm.
So we're demolishing this whole house. I mean, we took out a whole upper floor of
Yeah,
this
well,
house. And every
yeah,
time we were working on a room, we're moving this mirror because we don't want to break this mirror because this family wants this mirror.
yeah.
And I remember this mirror being in this room one day, and Cap's doing some wiring, and I was doing some stuff on the framing, and the word came up, the message in the mirror.
Mm,
And we really got into a pretty good, deep conversation about that.
mhm.
So I would have to say what your boyfriend is saying. I would have to concur with the way he's
Yeah.
looking at it because there is
Mhm.
always a message, and it goes back to where you said earlier about using our voice. We all have our own journeys, and there is always a lesson behind everything that happens into our life. And I tell you what, the past 2 years, I have really come to realize our lives are so well scripted.
Mhm.
And we don't realize as we're living our life, right? However, I've been one that has come to go, I am just going to go with the flow.
Yeah.
I spent my whole entire life doing everything I could to control everything that was going on in my life. And
Yeah.
all I did was mess things up. As soon as I handed it over to my higher power, who I call God, things started smoothing out. Not saying that life still doesn't throw shit balls at you because it does. I've lost a leg. 4 weeks after that, I lost, someone who I was in love with for 18 years,
Mhm.
passed away. And but it's just so well scripted. And when you just kind of go with the way things go, I mean, Shaun, there's a lot of times I can't even tell you what I did during my day. And
Mm,
and it's just because I just go with the flow. I
yeah.
just go with the flow. Some people are like, "Hey, what did you do today?" And I'm like, uh, uh I really don't know. I I just went with things. However, I do my best too to do what your boyfriend is saying is, why did I just think the thought that I just had?
Mhm.
Have a lot of places where I have a lot of triggers around the valley because of the person that I was with
Yeah.
as well. Lots of good, excuse me, but there were some that when she was in her addiction, it caused lots of bad feelings
Mhm.
for me as well. But I'm going to have to say I'd have to agree with your boyfriend on that one with get rid
Mhm.
of that word trigger.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
again,
it's a process for me. I'm working on it. I'm like, yeah.
yeah. And I'm going to try to stop talking for a minute because I feel my coughing coming on.
Yeah.
But I love where you have taken this, and again, I want to go back just a little bit
Okay.
of how important it is to use your voice.
Hmm.
Here you went through a living frickin' hell.
Hmm.
I'm even getting emotional just thinking about what
Hmm.
you went through because I just can't imagine
Hmm.
somebody having somebody else have such control over their life.
Right.
And that up and down and talking about the addiction. I became addicted to my wife's addiction.
Mm.
Oh, and I felt like I was on that roller coaster as well.
Yeah.
And so it's important for people to use your voice. You
Hmm.
mentioned about feeling like you was alone.
Hmm.
We're not alone. There's
Nope.
70 billion people in this world, and we think we're the only ones going through what we're going through. That's bullshit.
Hmm.
There's so many other people. However, if it's not for somebody like yourself, Shaun,
Hmm.
and so many of other like amazing guests who have come on the show and opened up and used their voice. That's what I love about doing this because all it takes is something. Somebody could hear what you've just shared today and they could have that Oprah moment, right?
Hmm.
That aha moment going, oh my hell, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And to also have the support
Hmm.
that that you had because
Hmm.
not all families give you that support.
And they just don't know too. The one they might want to, but they don't know. And yeah, and the other side is, yeah, a lot of people don't have the tribe, the community as well.
Yeah, but I really do feel like it's still important though for us to use it. I had
Yeah.
a guest on my show a long time ago, who a male, and he was sexually assaulted by his uncle at the age
Mm-hmm.
of 9.
Mm-hmm.
He opened up, went home, told his dad, and his dad beat the living shit out of him. Told him never talk about it again. That poor boy got molested for another 7, 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
which drove him into his addiction because when he got old enough, started hitting the teenage years and all that, and started getting into the drugs and alcohol and realizing he could start numbing his feelings. That's what led him down his path.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's important that we do use our voice and we get it out there because we could save so many people. I mean, even if just one person heard this today and you save that one person with what you shared today, Shaun,
Mm-hmm.
that ripple effect goes so much further than what we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Finding yourself. I mean, my gosh,
So
where
how
do
did we
you,
get to
where do
this
you
type of
start?
conversation? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a big question. And I think it looks different for everybody, but the core of it is the same. And so it's a lot of asking the questions of, okay, how did I get through it? And it's all the level. I mean, I had anger, I had shame, I had sadness, I had, my walking away from him. There was still good people in his life that I had to say goodbye to. I had to cut them out. Like, nope. I changed my phone number. I had to go cold turkey in order to do that. And there's a reason why rehab centers, right, where they have you go cold turkey and then they support you along the way. That was that. And then my parents, working out, and I've always been an athlete. They're like, we got to get her in some. So my mom, my sister, and I, we drive and we go see this amazing trainer, Yvonne, and I'm still friends with him today. And he would do boxing and stuff. And I just remember I was so angry and hit the heck out of that boxing bag or his gloves one night we'd fight. And it was a way to the physical side. So activating your life. So part of where we're going to go in here too is when you're doing the emotional work, which that can take a long time and as long as you need it to. But you got to bring your body along the way. if you're eating McDonald's and doing the work, you're going to stunt your growth. You're not feeding your body the nutrients that they need. And trauma gets locked in your cells, it gets locked inside in your muscle, in your tissues. I mean, there's a story of someone that I know. He had a moment in the military. He never saw combat, and he's got shame that he never saw combat, but that he had trauma from being in the military because their base got attacked and he hid in his barracks. And ultimately, I think most of his side survived and were okay. He goes, but he had shame that he hid and didn't get out and fight. And so he battled knee issues for a long time. And eventually he revisited that and worked on that shame around that moment. And the next day, knee, nothing wrong with it. And so he always thought like, oh, I just injured it while in the military or whatever, but it was that emotional weight, And then I had with my neck, I learned I had scoliosis, so my spine curved this way and this shoulder sat up higher. Not quite as pronounced, but slightly, it was just enough to go, oh, when I looked in the mirror, then I could see it. Um, and my x-rays would even show spinal degeneration and bone spurring. And I had a lot of chiropractors are like, are you sure this is you? This looks like a 70 or 80-year-old person. And it was my neck. And so and I learned where the degeneration of bone spurring is the throat chakra and where my vocal cords are attached. So when we block our voice, and so that was restricting. And I spent, well over a decade working with chiropractors, yoga, massage, acupuncture, working out, trying to do all the things to get my spine straight, and it wouldn't move. It was just so I was just always mitigating pain. And until I started, I worked with a chiropractor. He's here in Arizona. He's incredible. He, um, when he was on the table and he walked past me, he goes, "You tighten up every time I go behind you." And he's like, "Something," and he didn't know my story. And he's like, "Something's happened to you." He's like, "Or a lot." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay." He goes, "Well, when we work on you, things get locked in the body. So as I work on you, make sure you're going a therapist and because you're going to have stuff that's kind of emotional stuff that's going to come up, and you need to be able to work through that because it gets locked, and that's what's locking you up." And so, and then another gift he gave me, he said, "I want you to think about the word nourishment. I want you to start asking yourself, do these people, do places, does your food, does it nourish you?" And he goes, "A Snickers could nourish you." you know? But does it nourish you for the moment? So it's like, okay. And so that was a reframe of starting to change the way I think about things. Like, if I'd socially have drinks with friends and stuff. And then I'm like, does this nourish me right now? No, I'm going to feel like crap tomorrow and I'm not going to feel good. So I'm going to say no to that, or even foods. We all know those foods that don't make us feel good, but they taste good. And so it's like, is this going to nourish me or not? And then it just changed. It was a healthy way. It wasn't like, oh, that's going to make me fat, or I'm going to put on extra pounds, or this or that. Like, it was able to remove all that and just be and feel through that. Sorry, I heard it click and then I was like,
Okay.
oh. Um, anyway, squirrel. All of a sudden I heard a click and people are getting awake now. Um, so that was a bit, and that also connected to all my years of I loved being an athlete and I loved moving my body, but I'm a female. I wanted to look like that girl and have this and that, and so you start thinking about those. And I realized I even did fitness competition. Well, I did one fitness competition and trained for a couple others, but those didn't come to fruition. And anyway, I realized I was training because I hated my body. And I looked good, but I hated my body. And now I was able to go, movement feels good. It's nourishing me. And I totally changed my relationship that I had and my attachments to food, to my body, to then just get to a place of such self-love. And I remember all my clothes were fitting really tight at the moment. And when I was going through all this work, and I just remember looking at myself in the mirror, and after that time of doing the emotional work, and the emotional work can be There's breath work, which I know you've done. Like breath work is phenomenal. Just breathing. We don't breathe enough. And that gets oxygen into our cells. And again, our cells get to activate and they bring forward. A lot of people have what, they'll have similar psychedelic experiences, but it's your own breath because now you're getting oxygen into those parts of your body that have been blocked. And now it's trauma can move through, just like movement can move through. By eating nourishing food, it helps nourishes your cells, and your cells are like, I got to detox. Let's time to purge and start doing this. And so, to the point where then I was looking in the mirror and I went, oh, like, thank you, body. Thank you. You know what? My clothes might be tighter, but this is filled with good memories, good food, good people, and um, good memories. And I just thank you. You were there for me. And this is a reflection of that. And I'm okay with that. And then part of it too was the products. So the event that you came to and those products also. So I got introduced to those products, and that chiropractor is a part of that company. So that's how I met him. And I had those products all along the way. So it was just the beautiful alchemy of all of those modalities of doing the inner work, of working and moving my body, of changing my relationship with food and activating my body. So, and that company, we're an activation company. And that's where it's like, heck yeah, let's activate your life because now with our products, we activate your own antioxidant enzymes. We activate your own collagen production. We activate your own mitochondria. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I got my dog. Um, he can be a little turd, and so they're like, "Yeah, let's put him in with her."
Okay, sometimes I have a cat jump up on my lap while I'm
Yeah.
doing the shows. It's all good.
Yeah. So, and those products they all have patents, they all do unique things within the body, but those two were helping bring my body along for the healing to speed it up, rapid healing. And so for me, it's like everyone needs, I mean, the products on their own, if you're breathing, you need to have it. You need to have them in your body and so many things. Um, but to also what I love and what I've experienced and what I help others experience is activating those in their body to bring their body along the way as they're working and moving through their own traumas and healing. Because then why not? Let's all get to the other side and feel healthy. Like to get to this, I'm really proud. Like we talked about, how do I get here? To experience the various things I did from with men from childhood on. And that was just one of the relationships. I had a few other, I guess, and I talked about the high school one, but and then a couple in high school, like one guy had a whole second life and was cheating on me with everyone in every way possible. I've dated the porn addict who was addicted to porn and pulling pictures off of the internet or off of Facebook of my friends and doing things in his own time with them, pursuing everybody. Like I've reached the point now where I'm like, I think I've seen it all.
Oh,
And this is not a challenge to God or the devil. Like you both stay away. There's
yeah.
This is not a challenge to see anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And so, but to still get to the side where I am not jaded. I have a lot of my friends are like, they'll experience part of that, or there's people that one of the things that I went through would crush them or have and do. And it's not saying that I'm stronger than them, but I thankfully have had beautiful examples in my life of healthy, solid men. So it was like they exist and I exist. So my guy has to exist.
Yeah.
And I have brothers, I have friends, and so it's allowed me to go, and I just have had this vision, and I know like my partner's out there, my man is out there who will treat me kind, who I could build a life with and have a family with, and I just felt it so to my core, and I just knew, and it's like I have to get to the other side. And yes, like you talked about, you're starting in this dating world where the good guys where like these women are going to have things, that's their own work. Those are their mirrors, their mirrors of things that have happened to them. And they're coming up because it's trying to protect them. Like, okay, is this guy, is he nice? Is he not? Like it's testing them, but they've got to be aware of what those are. And when you're aware of okay, I know this is moment protect me, but let's really see like who is this person? Let's look a little bit deeper, you know? I mean, our instincts are there, but then they can also faulty fire
Oh,
as well,
yes. Yeah.
right? And I know there's a lot of beautiful, great women and men who have been through stuff that oh, I'm seeing this, and they see through the lens, and I've been guilty of that, of seeing through the lens of the traumas, of the wounds that they've been through, but we have to identify them, and then it's going, hey, thank you, you've served me, you've kept me alive, I've you've kept me aware, but now I got to lay you to rest. Now, not to say that I override our instincts, the gift of fear is still there, but it's now learning to differentiate of what's a real threat and what's a trauma.
Yeah.
So, and it's learning that. And EMDR is a massive, that was huge. That's rewiring, reprogramming, where they put you in, our brain goes into an autopilot. So when we get triggered, it'll go into an autopilot of programming. And anytime, so when you relive something, our body thinks that same exact thing is happening again. I'm going to go through all the emotions. I'm going to fire up all the same chemicals. I'm going to go through the same thought pattern. And it's just like my mind imagines a pinball machine where it's all bouncing around, but it does the same exact thing over and over, over and over and over, over and over and over. So to really iron in, well, EMDR gets you to that. You're stuck. I'm in da da da. I'm in that same moment. And then, but our nervous system, like it does a disruptor, where they'll tap you, or you'll have headphones. I had headphones where it would go beep, 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 beep. And then I had buzzies that would like lightly vibrate on each side. So I'm going through that whole moment, but now I've got a disruptor. Now my body's like, oh, wait, this is new. I got to create new neural pathways. And then they guide you through, okay, what was the root of it? Okay, here's your safe place. You really are safe. And guide you to. So then within a matter of 5 minutes, you go from deeply triggered and crying to now I feel free. And then when that moment pops up again, when that mirror pops up again, you have new neural pathways for the energy to travel and you're in your safe place really fast. And so I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of, I just was hungry for what can I do? And substances were not a thing I did. I did rely on marijuana um, at various moments. And there's times I was having panic attacks. I'm like, I gotta get through this. I gotta get through this, you know. And now with all of the as intense and dialed in everything is, it was like this is not even fun for me anymore. And I it totally it has moment, and it helps with pain genes too. So and we have cannabinoids in our body. It is God put that plant on here for a reason, and I am for it. But I'm also like substance. I didn't want to rely on substances. I didn't want to. It was all my own nervous system and breath work and breathing, and so really leaning in and just trusting and going like, let's get back to that original program. And so to get to this other side, it is a process and it's different. It looks different for everybody, but it's learning the right tools and mechanisms to get there to now where I am in a beautiful, healthy relationship, healthy partnership. And he's been so lovely. Like now I've had different mirrors and we both have had mirrors where it's like, um, okay, this has popped up and he moves through it a lot faster than I do. And I move things pretty fast. And I was like, oh, he's even quicker, but he's also done a lot,
Well,
with where he
he's
is
a
too.
coach as well, if I'm not
He
mistaken.
is, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So he helps people with this, and so, but um, if I've had different moments, and like I'll have my body's like, "Are you safe? Are you not?" Or, and I've had even my last relationship, there was some things there, and I think overall a good person at heart, but the way it all ended up catching him in a really big lie, but then it was a bed of lies, and then it was just like, now I question everything. And that is an own little drama of itself, right? And so it was just like, how did I end up in that? And what is that? And so um, different moments that pop up so we can heal and change our associations and attachment to things, but our issues will stay dormant until you're in another relationship and they're going to all come out. And he joked with me because I was like, when we were talking about us, exploring like we're going to date or not. And I was just like, and talked about sacred union. And I was like, I want an unfuckwithable relationship. And he's like, well, then be careful what you ask for because everything that could fuck with it is going to come up.
Yeah, right. And it's right. He's correct.
Oh, 100%. And so different things. And so I've definitely had a lot of stuff come up and but he's been so great. And when it comes up, he's like, okay, let's talk through it. And then even one night it was just a moment of something that was coming up and I start crying and he just told me, he's like, tell me it all. Tell me it all. I'm here, and you're safe now. And then even just the little things, like little things that matter to me, like I've had such traumas and triggers of like their phones or internet or whatever, and he just pulls it all up right in front of me and messages all right up in front of me. He has nothing to hide, and
Yeah.
and that's him showing safety. It's him going, I'm here for you. And so, and I don't want to live that life where, but there's that initial like, okay, I am safe. And again, that's a little moment, but I wouldn't have entered it if I felt like I wasn't. But there was still that like testing, like can I or not, and so it's been beautiful in that way. So now, the whole point of it now being in a healthy relationship, now you can transmute it and release it, and so that's been a really cool thing too. So yeah, to get to the other
You're
side.
you're retraining those neurons, like what you talked about earlier, right? It's like the intro about Emergo Academy. It's the brain first approach.
Mhm.
And basically, that's all it is. It's retraining our brain to think differently,
Yeah,
healthy ways.
yeah.
And it does. You said it just the key word is it takes time.
Hmm.
Us humans, we want things so quickly.
Hmm.
And we don't realize, those that fall into addiction, they didn't fall into addiction overnight. It took a process.
Yeah.
You didn't fall into your relationship, the bad relationship with crazy ex right off the bat. It was a process.
Hmm. Yeah.
In process, it takes so long before we finally open our eyes and go, holy shit,
Hmm.
I'm in this freaking hole deep,
Hmm.
really deep, and I don't know how to get out.
Hmm.
It's the same for our healing.
Hmm.
As long as we can recognize it and we start looking at our life a little bit differently, I'll go, okay, where can we start?
Yeah.
When I lost my 24-year career in 2009 and I found out I was known as a liar and a manipulator and I called bullshit on it. And then I
Mm.
really started doing some thinking and I went, you know what? That's exactly who I am.
Mm.
I don't want to be this type of person. I don't want to be known as this type of person. This is not who I want Al Richards to be.
Mhm.
The only thing I knew where to go to, because I had no clue where to start, was back to fitness. I've always taken care of myself. But
Mhm.
with an 8-year weekend cocaine and alcohol, I was 198 pounds. I couldn't
Mhm.
see my toes if I looked down. I had a double chin,
Mhm.
and I'm going, the only thing I knew what to get into was fitness, get
Mhm.
back to it. And that was my journey. And I really feel that when we set our mind and we start retraining those neurons and we focus on somewhere different, even though we don't know where it's going, but we know it's not where we're at. We just
Yeah.
know we want to get away from it as far as possible. God started putting the right people in my life,
Mhm.
and it would put me on another path that would help me get to another path that helped me get to another path, and I was talking with somebody just, matter of fact, 2 days ago, and they had reached out to me and they were struggling with some stuff, and they have felt like that they have been climbing this mountain for a long, long time, and they haven't reached
Mhm.
the top. And I said, something for you to think about. While you're climbing that mountain, you're going to reach the top one day.
Mhm.
Once you reach that top, you're going to look and realize you're at the bottom of the next one.
Mhm.
It's that constant climb, it's that constant learning. You
Mhm.
have just shared that with us today.
Mhm.
It's that constant journey. You talked about the journey at the beginning of the show. It's
Mhm.
that constant journey. And for those of you that have heard this show and you're going, well, really, what has this got to do with addiction? Because the show is a lot about addiction.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do about addiction
Yeah.
because yours was a relationship.
Mhm.
Others are drugs and alcohol, porn, gambling, eating. It's all the frickin' same.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit different.
Mhm.
However, our journeys are all different, right? To get out. It's like when I first started this show, I told my producer about 4 months in, I says, I don't think this show's going to go too far. And he's like, why is that? And I'm like, and everybody I interview, their stories are the same.
Hmm.
He goes, no, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. We're getting some really good hit. Everything's going good. Just keep doing it. And I don't know how much time went by when I finally realized I went, oh my gosh, that's it. Their stories are the same, but everyone's journey is so different.
Hmm.
That's exactly what it is.
Hmm.
And you have to take that time. You have to be patient with yourself. And
Yeah.
luckily, you had good people behind you. You had great people in your corner. You had family, you had friends, you had coworkers,
Hmm.
which is help because we can't do it alone. You know that, Shaun.
Hmm.
We cannot do this alone.
No.
Whatever our journey is, we have to have somebody behind us, somebody above us, especially to help lead us in that right direction. And as long as we have that, we will get to where we're going to go. And are there going to be bumps in the road? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And is there going to be an opposition that's really wanting to pull you back? Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Every time you go to take a step forward and that fear comes in, that's the opposition going, no, we don't want you to go there. We want you to stay stuck here because you're miserable. And that's exactly where we want to keep you.
Hmm.
And it's like, I've told people before, it's like, man, if you have a fear, something scares you, that's your sign to do it. Now, with reason, right?
Right.
I
Right.
mean, you're not going to go up to, a 500-foot cliff and jump off and, you're going to survive when you hit the bottom.
Right.
There's that fear. However, there's that certain fear. And you said it earlier too, is your intuition knows.
Hmm.
Your intuition really knows.
Yeah.
And it is very, very very well put when you say feel that. And
Hmm.
because your intuition won't steer you wrong. At
Yeah.
least mine hasn't.
Hmm.
So is there
No. Yeah.
anything? Oh, is there something else you'd really like to share? Because I mean, these shows go by so quick. We've just gone over an hour.
Yeah.
And I do want to say thank you for being so vulnerable and
Hmm.
opening up. And I mean, you had me glued at hello, and just going, my gosh, this poor gal, I got tears in my eyes listening to your story. However, I also get tears in my eyes because of getting to know you and getting to see your strength as well. Because it's
Hmm.
not easy. It's not easy.
Hmm.
You've lived it, you've walked it, you've
Hmm.
ran it, you know. And however, but you have been damn and determined you're not going to stay there
Hmm.
because that's not who Shaun wants to be. Shaun wants to be somebody that wants to be happy and enjoy life. And I am not going to let these people from my past control who my life and who I am going to be today. So, first of all, before I ask the next question, thank you so much for opening up.
Yeah, of course.
Is there anything else, some advice or a suggestion that you could give our listeners?
Oh, is no, you can get on the other side. It's it's a belief. Like I think it was an inner fire for me. I had this just burning desire to get to the other side because carrying it is heavy and it bled into everything in my life. And I want thriving relationships. I want a thriving body and a thriving life. And um, so just know that it is possible and you are not alone. And there are a ton of tools and a ton of resources um, to get there. And I'll even offer too, I know this is going to get linked somewhere, but if anybody, outreach to me because there's a lot of modalities and I'm happy to help walk anybody through anything. And even the activators, I mean, helping when you feel good, even if you start working on your body and start just to focus on that, as your cells start to heal and start to activate, then the emotions can go along with it in an easier way. And so, I'm here to help guide anyone, but there's you're not alone.
I love it. Shaun, would you please make sure today, hopefully soon, that you just text me or email me whatever information I can share on the
Oh,
caption
sure.
underneath,
Yes.
so people know how to find you or find the
Yes.
products that you're talking about as well.
Yes.
And just so you
Totally.
guys know, I take a couple of these products as well. I
Mhm.
take the Protandem and the
Mhm.
Axius. Um, Rachel has really helped me to where I don't have a cup of coffee first thing in the morning. I have my
Yeah.
Axius first.
Yeah.
And now my daughter, since I lived with my daughter after my amputation, I have my mushroom coffee. I just got it. It's Rise. It's really
Mhm.
good. It's got some great mushrooms in it. It's really, really good. But again, I follow Rachel's advice. I have my Axius first thing in the morning. I take that with my supplements.
Mhm.
And it's a great product. It's a great company. You know, um, when I saw a lot of the stuff that it showed there at that event, anything that makes my body feel good, I'm for.
Yeah.
I hit 62 in a couple days. I don't
Woo!
I don't feel 62. I'm very blessed because a lot of people think I'm still in my 40s, which I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
I tease people. I say, yeah, if I shave my mustache, I get ID'd for Slurpees at 7-Eleven. You know. uh, but anyway, Shaun is 100% right. When we start loving ourselves, wanting a better life, and reach out to the people who have lived it and know how to get out of it, those are the best people to get in contact with. And so, for you listeners out there, if there is someone out there that is struggling, which I know there is, because that's just how life is, whether
Mhm.
you're male or female, it goes both ways. Unfortunately, it's more on the female side who is going through a really bad relationship. I highly recommend getting a hold of Shaun,
Mhm.
reaching out to her, because you guys heard it here. She won't steer you wrong. So, Shaun, thank you again so much for
Yeah.
taking time
Mhm.
and to spend with me, and I hope to see you soon. I hope you're in Salt Lake in October to come to our Healing Utah Success Summit. We'd
Oh,
love to
I
have
don't
you
know
there.
about that.
Rachel
Amazing.
and Caitlin are going to do their little sound bath for us.
Amazing.
Really cool. But
Um,
yeah, and just want to say thank you again to Emergo Academy. Guys, look, if you're looking at a brain first approach, I highly recommend checking out emergoacademy.com. Dave and Susan will not steer you wrong. They're my coaches. They are always there for me. What I love about Dave and Susan too is they're not like a lot of coaches where you spend a lot of money to get coached, you get certified, and you don't ever hear from them again. This is what I love about my coaches there in Canada. It's like not like I can just drive down the street and go see them. All I got to do is send them a text, and they're always right there. And they're always doing different things to help us increase our our ability to become better individuals and to better our life. And they don't ask for any more money for it. They do it because they love to help people. So again, I highly, highly recommend checking out emergoacademy.com. I want to say thank you to all our guests, all our future guests that are coming. We got a line of them. Gosh, we're booked almost all the way out till September now, which I'm very, very grateful for. And to all you listeners, you guys are the ones that's making this possible. We're going to leave you with this as we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.